And, okay, moving on. I'll talk a little bit about my team, the Colorado Avalanche, who this year was just a terrible year to cheer for them. I mean, if you think you Leafs fans have it bad, well, of course, you guys have been cheering mediocrity for a lot longer than this, but, I mean, at the end, at the end of the season there, I was wondering if we were going to score a goal again. Like, I think we were shut out the last 3 games, and like 6 out of the last, I don't know, it was ridiculous. Couldn't score a goal to save our lives. Oh, well, it doesn't help that half our team were injured. But anyways, we're picking 3rd in the draft this year, which is some position that we're not very used to. And everything's pointing to Matt Duchene, that we will draft Matt Duchene, which I am very pleased with, being that he said that he's an Avalanche fan growing up, and he seems like, the perfect replacement for Joe Sakic. I kind of wish he was a winger, because we would have a glut of centers now, with assuming we'd have Duchene, we'd have Stasny, we'd have Wolski, we'd have Hensick, and TJ Gagliardi, who played very good in his call-up. We'd have to move someone to wing or trade someone or do something, but. And the other big news today was Patrick Roy allegedly met with acting general manager and team president Eric Lacroix. And at least what I'm hoping for is interviewing him for a coaching job position, because the coach we have now, Tony Granato, is completely inept. Like, I mean, I just don't know how he managed to keep his job the whole season. I thought, okay, maybe they're keeping him on just to fire him in the offseason, but so far nothing. I mean, they fired the general manager for Swaji Garrett, which I thought was a step in the right direction, but I think firing Granato would be more important. So hopefully our man Patty here can save us. What I like about Patrick Roy is, I didn't agree with him. Remember last year when he sent his son Jonathan to pummel the other goalie in the QMJHL playoffs? I mean, that's the bad side of Patrick Roy. But the good side is that he's someone, like, he doesn't seem to me like he's the player's coach, and that's Joel Quenneville and Tony Granato are very much like that. Ross seems like a guy who's going to light a fire under the team's butts, and that's something that this team desperately needed this season. Because, they were just lazy, and the results show for themselves. And another good news for us Avalanche fans, in case you didn't know, there will be no Tyler Arnason next year, possibly the worst player in the NHL. If you people have not seen Tyler Arnason, you should feel lucky, because, watching this guy play hockey is just cringe-inducing. It's just terrible. And I'd be shocked if he managed to play in the league next year. He played in, it was 70-something games, and I think he got 20 points, playing around 15 minutes a night. I don't have the stats here, but I think that's about right. He went on, a 42-game goalless streak. At one point, he was playing on the first line. That's just inexcusable. Alright, once I get started about Arnason, I just can't stop, so I have to stop myself. Okay, Steve Dangle, I'm going to talk about, I know you told me not to, so if you want you can quit watching here, but I'm going to address the Balsillie Phoenix crisis. Like I mentioned earlier, even though I'm a Canadian, I actually live in southwestern Ontario. But I don't know about this whole Balsillie thing, I was 6 years old at the time, but when Canada lost Quebec and Winnipeg, it was terrible. Even though I'm cheer for it, the former Quebec Nordiques, it wasn't good. People lost their team. Could you imagine, the Leafs just packing up and moving? It would just be terrible. And I know the Coyotes don't have, nearly as big as a fan base as, the Leafs, but they do have fans, and if you look at their attendance numbers, they're not spectacular, but they're around the same level as the Boston Bruins in the past few years, and the New Jersey Devils and the Washington Capitals before this season. Are you gonna move them? The problems are not the fans, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. It's like, oh well, nobody cares about that team there, so let's move them. That's not the case at all. The reason they're in that situation is just piss poor management. They have this terrible lease where they don't make any money off parking or concessions. They play in a suburb called Glendale, which is removed from where most of the people live. This is like in the west part of town. Most people seem to, from what I gather, live in like Scottsdale or in Phoenix itself. So, and I know you say, well, if you're truly a fan, you'll make the drive. But the thing is, and the same goes for, I'd say, pretty much every American market that's not Detroit or Buffalo. You know, they don't have hockey as engraved in the culture there, so they'll go if their team is decent, and it's like, you know, it's like the Raptors here. You know, people go when they're winning, or the Blue Jays. I mean, look at the Blue Jays. They're the best team in the majors, and they have one of the worst attendances. It's just the way things go. And the Coyotes have been awful for years. I think that if given the chance, if they're ever good, you know, people will come and they will show that Phoenix is not as bad as a market as most people around here think. And I think that us Canadians can sometimes be a bit snobbish about hockey, like, oh, you know, don't share, you know, this is our sport, we don't need to share it with anyone else. But I'm like, well, don't you want more people to be hockey fans? I mean, do you want hockey to continue to be this, people, you know, down, you know, the American media to keep laughing at the sport? I don't. I mean, I don't. It's never going to be as big as the NFL or anything like that, but, you know, I hope it someday could be respected more. Anyways, that's all, and, go Avalanche. Yay. Actually, no, go Blue Jays. That's something actually we're cheering for. Alright, bye.